Where did that come from?
Well,
Turn your notifications
turn your fucking notifications
All right, I'm on it. Relax.
Hurry up.
Jesus.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Ultra Prism. This episode is part of the Into the Prism part of our podcast. I'm George, and as a quick disclaimer, we're going to probably be talking about subjects that might touch on sexual assault and domestic violence. We don't take that lightly around here. While we might throw in a joke or two, please don't be up to no good. You know, respect people, especially respect women. So today I have, like we always have, my friends, starting with Karlton.
Hey everybody.
Gawain.
What's up? How y'all doing?
And Winston.
How's it going, y'all?
Well, we're here today to talk about a guy's favorite topic. That's toxic masculinity. I'm just gonna start. What's toxic masculinity, you guys? Like, what is it? I always hear about it. I want to know what you guys think it is.
Well, who's going to jump up to answer first?
Well, you, because you said something.
All right. Well,
Goddamn.
Shit, on the spot. Well, I say toxic masculinity is kind of I guess, de-emotionalize ourselves, kind of just any type of issues that we have. We just kind of push it deep inside to be that stoic, blank-faced person. But that then backlashes to rage that comes out, because that's the easiest emotion to have next to sadness. But you have to bury that.
You think so? I feel like happiness is like a little bit easier. Because things can... I guess because like I'm easy to make happy than mad, so like you could just show me like a picture of a puppy and I'd be like, nice.
Yeah, but there'll be some days where you might just not have that good morning and something can easily just tick you off like that.
Right.
I would definitely say probably toxic masculinity to me is like people that like abuse the idea of like gender roles. Like, hey, I pay all the bills in the house, so like the house should be clean when I get home, and I should have a sandwich ready for me before I watch the game or something. Or
sounds like a supervillain.
Kind of like a just kind of like an overbearing, like I'm the man in the relationship, and that means I have to be stronger than you emotionally, physically, and I'm going to use that against you later. So that's just my opinion of what I think.
Which I think is like hilarious, and I'm going to be probably playing like kind of devil's advocate like this whole episode, but like I think that's hilarious because on the other side of that, there's guys saying now like, why we gotta pay for everything? It's like, because you made it that way. Like, we made it that way, so we have to pay for stuff because it's just what we did.
What they call it, the patriarchy or something?
The patriarchy.
Yeah.
I think I pretty much agree with Winston on that. On that spectrum, I think it is it may not always be a conscious effort, but I feel sometimes it might just be just like an innate feeling of either entitlement or otherwise that might be related to or founded upon a man based on their gender. And I feel like it's mainly just the just like it may not, and like I said, to me, I feel like if we're going off based on what we feel or we think rather, I think that it could possibly just be how that person may use that to their advantage. Say, for instance, if whatever, I don't know what that was in the background. I thought it was a dog. But
I was scared. I was like, is this the Revenge of the Fallen? What's going on?
That's toxic masculinity.
It was literally toxic masculinity gurring at us in the background.
I think it's upset, but I honestly think that it's in one way it's how it can either be innate or it can be an actual acknowledgement of the ability that, or maybe not the ability, but the privileges that a person may have based on their gender, in this case being a man. Certain things like, possibly saying that this is the right way because I'm a man. Things like that. I don't listen to you because you're not a man. I don't agree with you because you're not a man. Things like that. And I think that that's probably what I would have equated to be as far as the definition.
Like dominance.
Yes.
T-posing.
Overbearing dominance.
T-posing onto people.
Not exactly. Not exactly. Anybody can T-pose.
I guess I would have to, mine is kind of like Gawain's, like this innate like feeling that you have to regress your feelings because it's like it's not manly to have feelings. You shouldn't have them. You have to be like stoic. You have to, pull your punches and everything. because like women are quote unquote weaker than you, and that's all it is. And I think honestly, just thinking of just like being around other women, being around women, and just kind of like understanding my girlfriend and like all of my other young ladies that are my friends, just like realizing it's just a bunch of bullshit and that like you should be okay with yourself.
Right.
So my definition is toxic masculinity keeps men from being who they really want to be, not sexuality wise or anything like that, just in like genuinely just not being like okay with yourself, because there's the standard of what being a man is, but like who's to say what it is, you know? Mm-hmm. I was at a talk, kind of like another table discussion, and they said that their definition is that we let women define what manliness is, but at the same time, kind of like Winston, and like we joked about, like we set the precedent, so like they're only following what we said. But the actual definition I have is toxic masculinity is a narrow and description of manlyhood, making men just, violent, sex-fueled, and like with status and aggression. That's all it is.
So kind of like caveman and wolfpack mindset.
Yeah, caveman, wolfpack, like I'm the best, strongest, listen to me, I know better, I need to be the alpha dog on top. If you hit me, I have to hit harder. And I think like that type of thinking is like it's not obsolete, but I feel like it's on its way to being obsolete. And also it's kind of like it's tired and boring, because like stop telling people who they should be and just let them be who they are.
Yeah.
So we talked about toxic masculinity, and like Winston and I kind of hit on like where it might come from, but I'm gonna ask everybody, like, what do you guys think it came from?
That is an interesting question to ask. You're asking where we think it might come from, or
yeah, because I don't think there's like a actual place. Like the easy answer is like the patriarchy, because like that's like,
well, that's an easy way out, because
that's like calling somebody Hitler who's evil. Like it's easy.
I don't know about that, but I will say that it kind of feels as if, as far as where did it come from, I don't want to say, I couldn't imagine, well, honestly I couldn't imagine, but I can imagine that it's possible that it could just be, mainly it's basically probably because of the society that we kind of live in, but it might be possible that it's, that there are some overtones based in justification with religion or something like that. And I feel as if that might be a big reason as to why people feel the way that they feel, primarily in this particular culture, because Western civilization, I feel, even in all around the world, we're pretty male oriented.
Yeah, it's a
probably
man's
because it's probably because of what people have been not indoctrinated, but how certain things like religion and things like that might have come to be a big key factor in how we as a society and a world have developed.
Yeah, it's like it's systemic. It's
Yes.
not anything that needs to be learned anymore. It's just there, so everybody like kind of gets with it.
Right.
Yeah, I think going off sort of what Karlton said, I'm thinking of the same thing. So like I'm thinking like colonial times or whatever, like when society's first starting and you have the man that's going out like, oh yeah, we're gonna go hunt for some food for the village or whatever type thing or whatever. We go get the food, we come home or whatever, and like, oh, in the hut is there, like the food cooked, are the kids fed, all these domestic things are done or whatever. And I think like during those colonial times, of course, like he said, religion was kind of a huge part in their life or whatever. And as we know, some of the book says some things about the man having to do all these duties or whatever, and it's kind of like his job, whatever, his responsibility to do these things. And it kind of like molded the society. Okay, this is going to be our compass that we're going to follow. And then it was just like, well, if we're going to keep following that, I'm going to teach my son that. And it's just going to kind of continue generationally. So I kind of think that's where it started, that kind of like colonial biblical time.
As for myself, I kind of have a mixed bag of answers. I can't get a clear one out per se, but if I put my best effort forward, I would kind of say, I guess you could say mental maturity to a way, because kind of like what they're saying, when you look back to the history and stuff, even all the way back to the caveman depictions of it's always the male going out to hunt.
Did a really good like impression of a caveman just now. I just wanted you to know.
Anyways, so the man's out hunting, as they said, while the female is back at home or cave, raising, taking care, nurturing. And that's on the historical point. Then, of course, on the biological point, between the male and the female is definitely a lot more, I guess you could say, not nurturing, but they have more of a way to provide, I guess, nutrients as of a way, and it's kind of bad to damage what holds the nutrients. As for the male, biologically, what nutrient can we give? Nothing. So our body is kind of thrown out there into the wild, and if you're not mentally able to handle what physically comes, then that weakness shows, and that kind of ingrained into the mindsets to now.
You know what's interesting too? He said something about the nutrient thing. On the side, I kind of do. I try to educate myself as far as art history. I'm an artist. For people who may not have seen that to our first podcast, but I'm an artist, and one of the things that artists do, especially if they're well aware of the world around them, is that they go around and they do things like study art history. One of the things that's actually pretty interesting is the fact that that could possibly be a backup to kind of what Gawain is saying, is systemically we may have the rules that we have based on whatever kind of logic we may have followed, but prehistory, things going as far back as I don't want to say Neolithic, but it's probably somewhere around that area. Women played a much larger role than men did in society. In fact, it was children-bearing women that were actually far more valuable and far more revered than men were in society. And so seeing it as kind of interesting, that's interesting, Parallel, that you brought that up, because it kind of feels as if, based on that, it kind of is a more recent occurrence that men kind of flipped that table, possibly, or at least in that context of the toxicity thing, it might have flipped it over. Because a lot of statues, a lot of cave art, a lot of that stuff, a lot of it is women oriented, and it's praising women for their fertility and for what they do for the species. It's really interesting. It made me think about it back a couple of years back when I started getting into reading, because we have to start with Neolithic, Paleolithic, and stuff like that. All of those cultures have and it's the same type of representation. Fertile, it's women. It feels like it's a learned thing that might be what's going on. I feel like that's something that could be mentioned.
I think also in art, in history, we paint women as like weak and they don't know anything, but in art, they're like these beautiful, strong, powerful figures that, like, I feel like because certain people, men, have rewrote their own history to say whatever they wanted, they could just be like, you know what, we're the strongest and the coolest, and we get to do whatever we want, and that we're gonna say it's cool, and the women are like, fuck you guys, and I'm like, that's mean, that's harsh. I just think it's weird. But I think, like you guys, it's just something that we just kind of learned, and we kept learning it. But my second question, the one that I think that a lot of people don't really think about, is it different for the Black and other people of colors communities? Because none of the four of us aren't white. So while we can relate to some things, we mostly deal with the plight of the Black man. So do you guys think that where it comes from for Black men is different from where it comes from like white men?
I couldn't give an answer based off of, like you said, that we deal from a different side of the table, and our experiences are definitely going to be different from how somebody from another ethnicity or race might be. But it is possible, based on how the society that we live in, especially in America, because we're American, it might have some similarity to it. It could be more based off of how our parents or our parents' parents were taught, and it might just have been passed down, and it might be similar things of the times when they were around, and you see that in people and how they've been raised. It just depends on that, I feel like.
Okay, well, I guess the point that I guess I'm going to try to make is that I think going back to our previous conversation or whatever, where we were saying masculinity is like us being stoic, I think for black men, I think it's stoic in most cases or whatever. Like when we have to support the family, even if we're like struggling despite the systematic racism that's stopping us from being successful in society.
Let's not even talk about like how slavery happened and like we were getting whipped all day and we have to like not cry and go home and act like everything's okay.
Yeah, that. But I was gonna more lead into like for like positions of power or whatever. So like for example, the police or whatever, we can't be like we have to be submissive to them. Like we always talk about or whatever. In all the other cases, we have to be aggressive, like actual masculine men. But there's some cases like where you may lose your life if you try to be the alpha male in that case, and like you just have to accept that fact, like you're a black male, and you're not always gonna be able to play that role, or it might end up shortening your life.
So like an oppressed masculinity.
Sure, that's a good way to describe it.
Because I always thought of it like I kind of said, like there were times where we had to put on this different shade. Like there was a part of history where people just thought that black men were like less than. And I'm sorry, Winston got a water bottle. And he looked like a bad cat. But there was just like a time in history where we had to put on our sunglasses and just act like everything was okay. Like slavery throughout maybe last week. It's been a long time since like we have to act like everything's just cool. Everything in the world like has to be okay. And let's not talk about how like it breaks down into like us having to be ripped away from our families as black men, and us calling like deadbeat dads because like the system kind of just makes it that, and the system is patriarchy and so on and so forth. But so to answer my own question, and I'm gonna let Gawain answer it too, it is much different for black people, and I would say people of color, because we have to put on this other facade. We have to be more stoic. We have to oppress our own masculinity. We have to warn our kids about how this toxic masculinity is going to hurt them, especially our young men, when they get older. And like, it's sad, but it's just the world we live in, and I think a lot of people try to ignore it or act like it didn't happen or it doesn't happen, and it does. And I feel like you have to be informed of those things. Go on.
Can you repeat that question again?
How's your day?
Not that question, you fool.
Is toxic masculinity, or does being toxic, does it derive from something different for black people?
I would want to say yes and no. It really depends in my thought, because I mean, in some cases, if both the black and the white, if you have both the black and the white kind in that same low spectrum, you know, if they both understand that they both struggle trying to get where they are, then I mean, honestly, I have no idea. Actually, I have no way I can honestly answer this question. This is beyond my understanding.
Honestly, okay. I kind of feel what you're saying. There's Karlton kind of hit on it. Me and Winston did not say anything about it. There's definitely like this. Like there's a way that it, like for us and for our other counterparts of race, it's the same. And I think for people of color and black people, it deviates.
I have a question.
It stays like, what's up?
Oh, you can continue. I just had something.
It stays the same and then it deviates. That's all I was saying.
I had a question because you might have a slightly different experience based on your household. You are technically, on race-wise, African American.
I am, everybody. It's my favorite subject to talk about. George, me, I am African American. Most literally, my dad is from Ghana. My mom is from here.
Well, what I'm asking,
I'm a pure-blooded Saiyan.
What?
For those people who don't know, like my girlfriend who's probably going to listen, that's from Dragon Ball Z. It's a show I like, sweetie.
Okay, and we're moving on.
Go ahead.
What I was going to ask was, do you feel that your upbringing might have a different perspective too, based on your father's place of origin and how he may have a possible different outlook on something like that he taught his son?
Honestly, no. So, no, and the honest answer is because he knows about the same things that like happen throughout like the world. He's a worldly man, but he's of the world, but not a worldly man. One of them means he's a hoe. My dad's not a hoe. Is what I'm saying.
Okay.
But basically, he would just tell me like the same things. I don't know if it's the exact same things that you guys as dads have told you guys, but it's basically like stay on the straight and narrow. Going back to like we're different from our white counterparts. Watch how you act around them. Make sure you're on your P's and Q's. Not really more of the don't show emotion, because one of the best things that my dad ever said to me lately, we weren't talking about anything. We were just in the kitchen. I think I was like paying attention. I was doing something, and he was just like, if you ever need to talk to me, I'm here. And I don't know if he knows how impactful that was to me, because as we get older, at certain age, like from like 21 to like whatever age you are, you kind of like you stray away from your parents. You might not want to talk to them as much because they get annoying or you annoy them, and it's like, I didn't ask to be born, and they're just like, whatever, go away. But I will say, because my dad was like heavy Christian, still is, and I'm not a homosexual man, but if I was, he would not have it, like at all. He would just not have it. And I think that sucks, because I think I'd be pretty great anyway. My last question of these, like, this hard, serious, into the Prism type stuff is, like, what is being a man? Like, what is this definition that we have of manliness? Like, the Hulk, right? Like, he's manly.
Like the correct definition, or you think what society's current definition is?
Society's current definition, but to that, I don't think there's a correct one either, because manliness to you might be different to me than to Karlton, than to Gawain, than to, Casper. The friendly ghost. The friendliest ghost you know, actually.
All right. Well, I think in that sense, you should probably just, I think we're just giving, to make his question probably easier, I think he's asking pretty much what do we feel, not really what society feels, because like I said, everybody would have a different opinion on it, right. And there may not be any particular definition of it, so there might be whatever. So I'm talking, I guess I can go. I don't have, like, as far as, I don't think about it enough. I don't have enough hours in a day to think about like exactly what I feel masculinity is. Like if you were to ask me what masculinity is for me, it probably would be something along the lines of, I'm a guy living my life and doing how I see I need to do is probably what I would describe as masculinity. Being able to support yourself, being able to understand when you have to do things, and that could be applied to anybody, but at least as far as how I would imagine it would be something along the lines of taking care of yourself, presenting yourself your best foot forward, being able to know when you need help and things like that, understanding that it's okay to be able to talk to others, being able to express your feelings, and just be generally to live your life to the fullest in the way that you see fit. Because like I said, I don't personally, and this might be for somebody different, I couldn't think of like a term that like might be conventional, because as far as like it could be like a physical thing, but to me it probably would just be the mentality, being able to get things done, doing things. Sometimes I feel like probably doing things on your own accord, being able to push like a monumental task or stuff like that, and you did it on your own volition. And while that can be applied to anybody, at least in my experience, because that's what I consider myself doing all the time, that's how I would describe it. And then that could be applied to anybody else too, of course. It wouldn't have to be just myself or just the guys at the table. It could be anybody, and anybody can have that character about them, and that can be endearing. It doesn't have to just be us or me.
I agree with that. I mean, I was maybe talking a little bit more about like what is the stereotypical acts of what a man is, but like, yeah, like testosterone and all that other stuff. Like, you already have all that. You're a dude talking to the men like that are listening. Like, you don't need to show off that you are more manly than the next guy. Like, yeah, they have movies about it, but like, who are you really proving it to? So to me, it's like you need another person, another man to like validate who you are as a man. Like that's hella stupid, bro. Like, you don't need to do that. You don't. And there's so many movies and so many so much media that's just like, hey, you need to do this to get with women and act super cool and be rich and be an asshole, because that's what we do. That's what we do. And like, finger guns, all right, and that's like the end of it. And everybody was like, cool, because like that's kind of how culture kind of based itself around like this big web of like stereotypes, and everybody's supposed to be okay with it. And then when you're not okay with it, they're like, hey, fuck you for not being okay with this. But what we're being okay with in and of itself is like, it's toxic. You know, it's not cool. It's not cool.
I guess I will kind of piggyback on what George and Karlton have said, but the way I would say it is, manliness is not something that you have to, as I said, show off. You don't need to flare about it. A real man keeps quiet. Not keeps quiet, but real man, when something needs to get done, he shouldn't be trying to think of the glory of the end. They just knows that, hey, this needs to get done for the betterment. There's no need to just be, hoo-ha, I'm the guy. No, just, this is what's happening. This needs to get done. And once it's done, that's it. I'm not looking, there's no need for the glory, no need for the pumping up. Just
what?
Do it.
Were you working out in there? No. Wasn't working out.
Yeah, I mean, working out. I mean, working out in itself. That's not necessarily a toxic thing to do. If you want to live healthy or get big, fine. Just know you're doing it for yourself, not to show off.
Yeah, don't be a meathead. But
yeah, I hate people who have to like look at my guns. Like, no, man.
I mean, I
put them away. I don't care about the Second Amendment.
No, I'm okay. No, but I mean, I have to admit that I actually did that in the past before, and George actually called me out on it. That days later, I had to check myself when I did football, when I was doing weight, and it's like, you're getting big. That went to my head real quick. Like, yeah, I am. Then at the same time, he was like, oh, okay, man, don't need to get all big headed about that. Yeah, you're getting big, it ain't nothing. And a few days later, I'm like, yeah, it is nothing. Yeah, I'm getting big and strong, but I'm still me. Physicality doesn't mean anything.
Still a bitch. I had to say it.
Oh my God.
People needed to know. But yeah, I mean, I think we all, I guess if we're going with examples, I have an example myself. One day I was having like a kind of bad day, but it wasn't super bad. It just wasn't going my way. And like my girlfriend, we were about to go to a basketball game. She comes, I don't know why I didn't have my card that day, but I didn't. She picks me up. She hands me some flowers and a card. I'm like, why the fuck did you do this? I don't need this shit. And then in my head, I'm like, I'm the dude. I'm supposed to be doing this for you. And I think I said it to her, which made it worse. Don't ever say things out loud to them sometimes. Don't do it.
To them?
To them? As in, like your girlfriends, whichever one. It's them. It's all of them.
How about take that little mind process and just get it out there.
Right, but and it hurt her feelings, and I felt really bad because what she did was so sweet. And she's so great. And I can't put it into words, and I try to all the. I need a moment.
Karlton, when are the Oscars? Because goddamn, Jesus.
That was his new single. He should have had. I should have won Billie Eilish.
Well, you know already Carlton has to win the second one first.
Right.
I don't think he'll win another one.
Who? Billie Eilish?
He'll win another one when he gets to say the N-word in another Quentin Tarantino movie.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Quentin Tarantino only puts black people in his movie so he can make white people say the N-word.
Winston never got a chance to speak.
That's okay.
It doesn't matter. We can move on. To that
But no,
topic.
get your answer.
Say something.
Okay, so I guess I was gonna say, like, piggybacking off the piggybacker, I'll say that, like, I think we should stick with, like, it being a moral compass. Yeah, like Gawain said, it shouldn't be flamboyant, and it's not like a hard standard or whatever that you have to follow, but it's like this, like, internal moral compass.
Not flamboyant, but
I think
I'm
that's
sorry.
the wrong word.
Not flamboyant, but flair.
What?
Not flamboyant, but flair.
Flamboyancy could be a term.
Yes.
It could be a term, but think of today's generation. What do most people
You
think
keep
of
saying
flamboyant?
today's generation like we not them.
We're Z and
You're not 50, bro.
yeah, Z and
I
millennials are
remember,
like right
my
there.
cousin was like your generation. I'm like, bro, that's you. Like you're literally just 20 years older than me, and that's literally when it stops.
Okay, let me rephrase that. Okay, older generations, because let's say
No, you were right the first time. It was just that you're the same generation.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean.
Okay, well, going back to what I was
yeah.
saying, so yeah, I think you shouldn't be doing like that much flair or whatever about it. Like, it should just be kind of like a thing that you wake up and you're just like, I want to make my goal. I'm gonna try to make all the promises that I make. I'm gonna try to be a stable person. I'm gonna try to like keep my emotions in check, but still like kind of express them to those around me, so it still seems like I'm an actual person with a full range.
He said something that I don't think we talked about a lot. We talked about it like physically and maybe a little emotionally, but like mentally, you have to be there. I think part of the reason why guys or this whole term was made is because like mentally sometimes we're just not all there, and we don't go to like doctors or therapists and stuff like that because we think it's weak. We're just like, I'm not about to go to talk to fucking Diane about my feelings. I'm not gonna do that shit because I know me. And like you cried because you stubbed your toe and you lost at Madden, and all you have to do is talk to her, and so she can tell you like, hey, maybe you find another game that you're good at because you're gonna keep losing at Madden, and you'll never know because you just don't go talk to Dr. Diane, your psychiatrist. That can be free with insurance. But do you have insurance? No. Have you talked to your mom lately? No, and you should do that. She's been calling you.
I think so.
This makes me think of the old Bill Burr joke.
You gonna say it?
Sure. It's got.
All right, guys, we're gonna move on to the culture corner.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
So we talked a lot about.
God damn, you really did it too.
Yeah, we talked a lot about. So we haven't talked a lot about social media and its culture, and why basically social media is saying that it's okay to be toxic.
Oh god, here we go.
So there's like a bunch of posts on Twitter. I've seen them, and they're a little aggravating, and it's like it's quick snippets of people doing things that are nasty, and then sex, and
Wait, sex is nasty to you?
yeah, I mean it's just meat smashing together, and then you stop.
Right.
Wait,
why is that gross? All right, y'all.
the description of it was.
Yeah, I feel like you made it gross.
But like it's just people having sex, and then another tweet saying like, I can't wait to have toxic sex with my girlfriend or boyfriend.
Oh,
Who says that?
Oh, I know what he's talking
so
about.
many people
I've seen
say
tweets
that.
like that.
I've seen so, and like,
Yeah.
why? Like,
What are you talking
like
about?
in general, there was
I've
this
never
big
seen it.
high that was like a few years ago that was like being toxic is bad. Don't be toxic. Stop being toxic. And now everybody's like, it's okay as long as one thing is good, everything could be bad.
Yeah, I think it's like the same thing with like drugs or whatever. Like drugs could like ruin your life completely, but while you're high, it feels great. While you're fucking that toxic person, like it sucks or whatever. Like, or it sucks like right after. Like, oh yeah, we fucking, it's great. Whatever, I don't know, fun thing that you do with that toxic person is great, but like all the other parts of that personality, he steals money from you.
So
his mom hates you.
So kind
and
of
all these other things.
So kind of like that blissful emotional high before
Yeah.
reality
But,
comes
like
crashing back.
ignorance is bliss, but
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a lot of people already know that what they're going through is toxic.
But they're like,
they know.
yeah. But
They
the good
know.
part outweighs it.
Yeah, like the
somehow.
one good part, like she keyed my car and she might have like hooked up a bomb to it, but like she gives good head or something like that. And like
the
let's
pussy's
not even
great.
talk about how like in the media like men and women seem to like objectify each other with like just sex, not like sexuality or anything, like just such like, well, the dick's good or the pussy's good, so I'm just gonna be, everything's gonna be peachy keen. Like, no, you need more than that. Like, have some stability in your life.
If you're gonna have that kind of mindset, you need to ask yourself this: what have they done for me lately?
What have you done for me, Eddie? What have you done for me lately?
This is an Eddie Murphy. It's an Eddie Murphy joke. If anybody doesn't know what that
is
it raw?
It's raw.
Yeah, it's raw. It's raw.
Raw is very raunchy, and
it actually kind of fits into the topic.
Little toxic, yes.
No, raw is more than a little. It's a lot, but yeah, it does.
It fit into the last topic, definitely. I was thinking. So I think I kind of get what you're saying because I don't think my feed might be different from them. Their feed, George and Winston, definitely is. Because I don't get anything like that on my feed. I unfollow people if stuff like that pops up on my phone.
Really?
Like, real quickly. I did a purge recently, and I
honestly only not to interrupt you, but like I only unfollow black people when like I randomly see something that has to do with murder. Like, I literally saw somebody get hit by a car, and I'm like, what is this? Why do you have this on Twitter? I'm only here for memes and jokes. And so I reported them.
If you go on post stuff like that, keep it at 4chan.
No, Twitter, no. No, I kind of keep some of those people kind of, like, in my feed or whatever because I think, I don't know, sometimes they're, like, the first ones to, like, report things, and Twitter is about, like, that instant kind of, like, learning about things or whatever. So I kind of use them for that, but no, I report the people that are, like, for things that are supremely problematic. I'm like, no, this doesn't belong on my feed. No one really needs to see this or whatever, and I'll get rid of those. But, like, I am low-key, speaking of toxic, that's kind of a toxic relationship with some of the crazy people that end up on my feed. Like, it's like, all the evil stuff that they do, but I enjoy the good stuff they do, and I just kind of let it outweigh that when it shouldn't.
And then there's also other different types of toxicity on social media in general.
Yeah.
Like I said, my feed is definitely going to be different from George and Winston because they probably have more people followed or people that they probably catch up with or things that probably pertain to what would probably be more relevant topics. My Twitter, for instance, is mostly art-based, and one of the things that is very common on my thing is, and this could probably be picked up for any one of us because we all are into similar topics, but fan bases can be pretty toxic. Yeah, it's a different type of toxicity, let me say. But I'll say that
worst.
I think that it's pretty. It can get bad, and it can get bad because of I feel as if it almost becomes, maybe it's just me, but it almost becomes cult-like, and how people band together and just like demonize each other, saying like this group of people was terrible or this group of people was terrible because of this reason or what have you. And I think it's kind of strange.
Well, I wouldn't say an entire fan base. There'll be a section of it.
Oh no, I wasn't gonna.
No,
I wasn't
like that one section. I feel like kind of it goes like.
Well, you know what?
It's kind of Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty has like a really bad fan base because they would riot in
over
McDonald's
Szechuan sauce.
But it was for Mulan?
Yeah,
wasn't
Mulan
it for
sauce.
Mulan? And
sauce, yeah.
First of all, time out. Mulan is a great movie.
Not the remake though.
It hasn't even come out yet.
It's a bad movie.
Have you seen it?
Have you seen it?
No, I know it's gonna be bad.
How do you know it's gonna be a bad movie? Tell me why.
Nothing beats the original.
But you don't know that.
Wait, well, first of all, before you do comparisons of original to animated, first see the movie and see what it's like, and see if you actually even compare it. Okay?
No one can.
I can't compare live action Cinderella with the animated stuff, but by all means, by box office numbers, it was a successful hit.
I'll say this:
classic, but was successful.
I'll say this:
the same thing happened with Captain Marvel. Like, go ahead.
We were just talking about like Disney movies real quick. I just want to make a quick caveat. I couldn't sit through 10 minutes of the Jungle Book live action movie.
Yeah.
Are you serious? The Jungle Book live action movie is so good. It's so good. I love Jungle Book
Are you serious?
I like it.
No, Jungle Book. No, that.
I know. You said that with Lion King. I didn't even want to watch the trailers.
I didn't watch that, but I was gonna say I like turned it off because like there was a scene where the bear, where Baloo, I guess it was Baloo, it had to have been, well, he was trying to make Mowgli like kick Honeycomb off a cliff, and like it all lands on a pig. starts eating, and then Baloo starts licking the pig, and they're just like, we love honey, and there's a squirrel in the picture, and the girl says something to the effect, so he says, I rub it everywhere on me. And I turned it off because I was like, that's just not cool.
You don't like ASMR squirrel?
I don't.
But I will say there's certain Disney, like the live action, or I guess other CGI animated Lion King or whatever version of Lion King was pretty good compared to the original animated ones.
One who
That's
said
not
that
true.
you
That's
literally
not true.
only.
That's not true.
I think you're the only one with that opinion.
What are you
That's not
talking
true.
about?
That's not true.
What?
People that worked that loved it. I didn't watch it personally.
Who do
but
you
they
work
were like,
with?
it's great. People that I can't say where I work because we're on a podcast.
No, I'm not asking you where you work. Like, who do you work with? Because they sound like idiots.
They like Disney movies a lot.
Yeah, I like Disney
that's
movies
right.
a lot.
No, you obviously don't, because apparently
I like-
Mulan isn't going to be a good movie. You need to see
The
it yet.
original Mulan was great.
You're right.
When will my
Thank you.
reflection show who I am?
Yo, Reflections is such a great song.
It is. Okay, but I kind of wanted to get back to the thing we were talking about before we went on a tangent.
A girl worth fighting for.
I just think that that song
Be a man.
Yeah.
that song, those songs.
I'ma make a man out of you.
They don't sound like that.
You
Make
can't
a man out of you.
He's a country
That
Asian man.
doesn't-
He's a country Asian man. You don't know.
Okay, stop that.
You need to stop talking.
Why?
Okay, listen, like I was just gonna say, all I was gonna say was that because we were talking about, because now I guess we're talking about toxicity in general, and I think that going back to what I was saying about fandoms, I think that Gawain had a good point that not everybody in a fandom is pretty bad, is a bad person. I see that all the time. It's obviously that's not everybody. It couldn't be everybody, but and I feel like it might even pertain to the previous topics, but noticing that a couple of bad apples always spoils the bunch, right? Definitely how we perceive each other and how we perceive different people, what they like, what they're interested in. That, regardless of who they are and what they are as a person, we, in our experiences with those people, we are preconceived to sit there and believe what we believe about something based solely off what we've previously experienced, and that's a prejudice that we all have. We can't, like, as much as we could try to say, though, I'm not prejudiced against this person, I'm not prejudiced against this person, we still have these biases that we see and that we have all the time, and those things are what shape how we feel about certain people. Knowing what we feel about, knowing what we know about certain groups or certain types of people based on either what we know or what we've been told about, our minds shift to those preconceived notions or what we have, and sometimes we're not willing to change on that and how we feel about things like that.
I can agree, but when he said that, like, just the prejudice, I thought of when they were gonna make Idris Elba. Did I say his name right? I always say his name.
Idris Elba.
Idris Elba. When they were gonna make him 007, or there were talks about making him 007.
Yeah,
And, like,
backlash, man.
And there was just one comment to this day that, like, it's horrible, but it makes me laugh. It was just a thread that was like, he's supposed to be British, and people are like, he is British, and they're like, he's supposed to be white. And everybody was like, but, like, he's just supposed to be a British suave guy, and I mean, like, he fits the bill. And this is just one comment. I don't know who it's from. We're gonna call the guy Tom. He was just like, why can't we have anything? You know, like,
racist
what?
Tom did not.
Like, what? Why can't you have anything? Like, you stole this from our homes. Like,
and there's so many other white main characters in other films at this point. So.
And also, like, what was that with, like, Captain Marvel? How, like, everybody thought it was this big controversial movie, and it was just a regular ass movie.
Ooh, controversial how?
They were just like, because, like, Brie Larson was in, like, the lead, and, like, I think a lot of headlines were like, this movie is for women. And I went to see it with my girlfriend, and I was like,
she's just a strong woman in a role.
Yeah, she's literally can punch people really hard. Like, she's just cool. Like, I don't know. I feel like they tried to give her, like, a Tony Stark personality, and I didn't really know her as, like, a Tony Stark, and I didn't really keep up with her in the comics like I would with, like, a Black Widow. But I felt like her personality was, like, copy-pasted Doctor Strange, Tony Stark, kind of Star-Lord-ish. Like, I'm like, I know morals, but I'm like this renegade. I don't care.
Confident.
Like, not, I wouldn't call it confident. Like, cocky, but where's it coming from? because I just met you like as a character. But to that, I thought it was a good movie. I thought it was like funny when that one guy was like, "You're weak," and she literally like punched the shit out of him. And he was just like, "You can't use your powers against me." And he was like, "Fight me with all your powers." And she was like, "No."
She blasted him.
Yeah, it was funny as shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, and a lot of people think like that movie bombed because men and patriarchy, and it made like $2 billion. So there's that.
I've never seen that movie actually.
It's a good movie.
You gotta
It's
watch
decent.
it, man. You gotta watch it.
It's decent.
I need to watch it myself. I haven't got a chance to watch it, but there's a lot of movies that I haven't got a chance to watch. That one just kind of slipped on my radar. I think I wasn't in the States for that. Was that in 2018, right?
Early 2019? Because it was before Endgame. No, it was before. Yeah, it was before Endgame.
Right before Endgame.
And Endgame
Right
was
before
2019,
Endgame.
or was that 2018?
It was actually the only movie to come out with Endgame because we literally got Marvel movies, I think 3 or 4 times a year. Mm-hmm. In 2019, we only got 3 of them, and that came out the end of 2018.
That was one of them.
I can look it up.
No, I'm pretty sure that was one. No, it came out. You're right. It came out a couple weeks before Endgame. Mm-hmm. I mean, no, Infinity War. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. Came out before Infinity War because.
March 8th.
Yeah.
Before Infinity War.
No.
Endgame.
Yeah.
Endgame. Yeah, you know what?
Yeah, Endgame. Yes, it came right before it because she was in Endgame. She wasn't in Infinity War.
Right, they had to introduce her.
Right.
Okay.
Honestly, think they should have did it much sooner, in the Marvel timeline of things.
She could have been a lot more. She could have been a lot more fleshed out.
So before.
Honestly,
Doctor Strange.
if we're talking about, and I know we're making a tangent from the topic, which is toxic masculinity, blah blah blah. If we're gonna talk about something that's toxic, let's talk about how I think, and it's just me.
Oh.
Thanos could have been a better fleshed out character aside from where he was in Infinity War. And I've had this conversation with my friends before, all 3 of them right here, and they said, "Shut up." But I say,
"Uh-oh, sis."
I don't think I was part of that conversation.
Well, you're about to be. And I just think that I kind of based it off of Madara from Naruto, and they were like, "You can't do that. It's 2 different mediums." But they're both comics technically, so no. I just feel like they could have made Thanos or show his menacing side more than they did. Like in Infinity War and kind of in Endgame, they did they did a good job for those movies. But for him to for him to be like the end all be all, like, "Yo, I'm Thanos from the West Side and I'm coming to fuck shit up." Like he did that, but
comic wise, he did it all just for a favor of death.
Yeah, but we only found that out after he had hemorrhoids.
So, are we talking about MCU right now?
MCU.
Okay. Here's something that I was thinking about too, and I think, first of all, let me preface the fact, because you did mention Infinity War. I think I've watched Infinity War 12 times because I like that movie a lot. But I've noticed something I feel like I've noticed something, and I was reading somebody's thoughts. I don't know where it was, but it kind of made sense to me. You said something about Thanos being an end all be all, and then she kind of fleshed out and changed during Infinity War and Endgame. You got to keep in mind.
No, I'm saying he wasn't, and then he was.
Well, think about it like this. Because first of all, those movies weren't really his place to be in. So of course, he was in credits, but don't look at me like that, Winston.
I'm wondering what you're gonna say next.
There was somebody that brought up the idea that Thanos. The reason why it made it a little bit easier to develop Thanos was probably because of the fact that, first of all, in Infinity War, let's address the fact that was his movie.
That was Thanos' movie.
But there was also definitely the addition of the fact that Thanos, first of all, didn't need to be much. He only needed to be established enough to be a threat, and he was menacing on purpose because there was. And let's talk about the fact that, first of all, the Marvel movies kind of go with our timeline literally as far as the years that passed.
Honestly, I wouldn't know that until they blatantly said it.
That's true, but think about the fact that Endgame and Infinity War kind of, but think about the fact that Thanos was the kind of person who, in those movies, in the beginning movies when he was being shown, at least in think, for instance, like at the end of
Avengers.
of the first Avengers, he was in Guardians of the Galaxy, right?
I mean, technically, he was in those movies. Like, he was Thanos as himself.
Right, but
like Loki went to go talk to him. He was like, "Can I have some more, son?" And he was like, "Shut up."
What I was gonna say was, there was a difference, I feel, because they portrayed Thanos as a warlord, as not a criminal, but as a warlord, as a hulking figure that everybody that came back to everything. But years had went by between, because Avengers came out in like what, 2008? No, not 2008.
No,
2012. Sorry,
2012.
2012 on somebody's graduation. It's May 4th.
Yeah, but so like years have passed in the timelines that we've been witnessing. If you guys have ever watched MCU, we kind of like pulled through an entire like series before we got to like Infinity War. As those things, Thanos probably was broken down as a being, because if you think about it, how many times has he failed within these movies? Like the ultimate goal has eventually been like either like partially ruined by some stupid idiot who has a hammer or something like that, or more so some other thing, Thor. But
are you shit talking Thor Odinson?
I want to kind of get on with my point.
It's a yes or no question.
No, I didn't want to talk too much. But what I just wanted to say was, looking at how Infinity War kind of played back, you see that Thanos is a different person because he's a lot more thoughtful. He's a lot quieter. He's not as boastful. He feels more like. You can see it in like his talk with Doctor Strange on Titan, how he claims himself to be a survivor. He thinks of himself as a different person based on like the experiences that he's gone through. All of that wipes away in Endgame when they bring him back when he comes back from 2012, whenever that was, for that particular instance. And it's interesting because you see the dual dynamic of the character, because he's not as seasoned as he was before. He's a different person. He's much more focused and much more driven, but he's a lot more belligerent, and he's not as, I don't want to say forgiving, but not as he's definitely not Thanos that we came to like appreciate in Infinity War. He's a completely different person. That's because he grew with everybody else. We just didn't see it personally until we saw it in 2018.
And it just get us back on topic, because we all did it. We love comic books, but his way of thinking, ready for the segue, is very toxic. Because I can't finish my thought. Because he's like, to solve a problem, I'm gonna eliminate things, which isn't a bad thing, but like, to solve a food problem, you're gonna kill people. Won't solve the food problem, you're just gonna have dead people. And like, I don't know who sat down with him and was just like, hey, you can't do that, because it doesn't like
the entire council that he was part of said.
But then he killed them. Like in the comic books, they were like, no, Thanos, you can't do that. And he was like, shut up, you can't tell me what to do. And I'm like, I mean, we kind of can, and then he killed them. He kills people.
No, I know
like
that,
his ends don't justify his means.
Unless I'm misinformed, I thought it was he suggested it. They said no. His planet began dying. His civilization and planet began dying because of the lack, and he said, "I told you so. Now get in my way. I'm gonna end you."
Yeah, he took it into his own hands.
Yeah, but there should have been a better solution. I don't know what it is. Like, why not ask for more stuff? Like, he knows with the Infinity Gauntlet, you could, like, wish for whatever you want. So, like, why wish for less when you can wish for more? Like, it just doesn't...
Weren't there a lot of books on the topic? Not books, but a lot of, like, discussion on the topic saying that it wouldn't, like, doubling everything would still not fix the fact, because we would still probably
outgrow that.
We would grow more than the way... I think it was, like... If they were to cut everything in half, all of organic life, it wouldn't get to the point where, again, like, everything would have a chance, like a gap, being able to grow more. Because you notice that everything
like
was
a hunter, like there's a hunting season, and without that hunting season, is that the season for like things to repopulate and stuff like that.
So it's an unsolvable problem. Like, it's either if you double the resources, then the population is going to grow to match those resources. If you cut the people in half, then those people are going to grow to match the resources.
But it would
Don't
that
trade
would be a lot
lives,
slower
Winston.
though. That'd be a lot slower.
Doesn't matter. It's still gonna end up reaching there.
Look, I think we all established that Thanos is basically the bubonic plague.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, into that fandoms are super toxic, and like the MCU versus like DC Comics, they're like super toxic because like this movie's good, that movie's good. Like just watch the movies. Just watch the movies, enjoy the movies. Like that's to me, that's part of it. Just enjoy this stuff. You don't have to like have these flame wars about it. Enjoy them.
Opinions and opinions are subjective, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Unless they're a fact. Unless you say something factual, I should say.
Then it's objective.
No, yeah, then it's objective, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So whether you like something or not, that's all subjective.
Right.
The only
But
thing-
we're saying like people forcing you to say something is good is not like that's what fandoms do, and that's super toxic because like just let me like what I like.
Right. Okay.
Great way to tie it all together, man.
And just for my next point, we talk about being toxic a lot, but one thing that I'm sure we all have noticed is that the artists that we like, not just people, maybe, I mean, Van Gogh was a little out there. He cut off his ear for a woman, right?
No, I don't think it was a woman. It actually, I think it was. My teacher told me the story. This was last semester. I don't remember
He
actually.
cut it off last semester. He's
No. We talked about it in class. It was a person, but I don't think it was a woman.
He did it. He did it for somebody's attention.
He sent it to somebody, and I actually think it was another man. But I think he was because he wanted to.
You know what?
Make a point?
That sounds no. Van Gogh was.
No, was he making a point?
No, I think it was like, oh god, I'd probably fact check this later. But if I remember correctly, it might have been the fact that it was somebody that he was working with that he had a big aspiration. It was a big inspiration for him, and they worked together for a while, like in the same studio. And I think the guy left, and he sent him his ear or something like that, as like some type of not an ultimatum, but something like that. I
Also, Van Gogh wasn't all the way there either. He was a great artist.
If you ever look at, I think it's Starry Night. If you look at the trees and all that, that's actually the view from his asylum window. So that's actually like he actually was crazy.
Aren't some geniuses borderline madmen?
Sure.
They don't have to be though.
They don't have to be.
Like
That
that's
one.
another thing that
There's a method to the madness sometimes, but that doesn't necessarily make people.
Yeah, that being
Crazy
called
genius.
incorrect for when they were like the Earth, the sun revolves around the Earth, and like they're like, no, it's not. We revolve around the sun. Like he wasn't a mad scientist, but there was a method to his like madness. But when I said artists, I mean like more like musical artists that I feel like because they sing good or because they dance good, we kind of let them be whatever, even though they have like done bad things to people or themselves or said bad things.
This is on both sides too.
What do you mean?
Both sides. It's not just. We're gonna tie the toxicity part. It's not just men. It's also.
No. I didn't say man.
No.
I was just saying.
No.
artists, all of
I
them.
get what you're saying because we were
All
talking
of
about
them.
it earlier. So
Yeah, all of them. We're in a realm that like
popularity definitely does affect.
individuals cannot be toxic, but a person who is popular can be.
Yeah.
/ talented.
/ talented.
Right.
Because they could just, like, the Kardashians are just popular just because. But, for example, if you can sing, if you can dance way better than the average person, then you're a talented person. And that's what some people are, like, interested in, so.
If you could do it at the same time, like Beyonce, then, like, the world is yours.
Yeah.
To be
And
honest,
she's kind of, yeah.
Yes.
She's not toxic.
Right.
She's also very reclusive, so maybe she hasn't said anything.
So we don't
Sorry,
know.
Beehive. She's great. I love
We don't know.
Lemonade. It was a great album. But, like, for example, because most of my examples happen to be men, because they're the easiest to find, aside from maybe, like, women. Like, female artists or women artists are always, like...
Why do you look like a small baby, Winston? Winston looks like whenever Winston gets really excited, Winston looks like a small child. It's really
no, he doesn't. He looks like that one new meme of LeBron James when he's looking down. That's what he looks like. Yeah, but that's his regular face also. So
no, the way he just did was like, are you trying to be a Oompa Loompa or something?
Oh my god!
No, man.
Man, but like,
no, there's some female examples.
Are you talking about Cardi? Go ahead, man. I don't.
Well, okay.
Winston thinks Cardi B is toxic.
Well, no, I don't know if you guys have seen the videos or whatever that she's brought up of what's it called? Of her talking about like some of her interactions with men when she was a stripper and how sometimes she may like after work or whatever take some of her clients from work like to like separate hotels or motels and kind of end up drugging them and kind of robbing them, and how she was kind of just justifying it like,
I want
who's going to stop me kind of thing.
People to know that a lot of people think that she like did like sexual misconduct and stuff like that. Like, no, she only robbed the dudes. No, a lot of people get the story wrong, and I was just making sure. Right. But yeah, she would just rob them, and that's not okay. Why are you robbing people?
Drugging them and then robbing them.
Yeah, don't drug and rob people. And like like we all say, if a guy did it, then he would be the worst person in the world. His wife would be over.
They'd be Weinsteins.
For that, like, what?
Yeah, they'd be Weinsteins. Weinstein also drugged people too.
That's fair, yeah.
And Bill Cosby.
Yeah, but those two things are different than like Bill Cosby drugged people and like
took advantage
of them. She just robbed them, which like to me is bad, but one's worse, and that's sexual assault.
Okay.
But I was gonna say everybody's favorite toxic male, Chris Breezy.
C Breezy.
Oh no. Breezy. Cause like I just don't get it.
I don't either.
I don't get it. Like, he uses auto-tune now, so he doesn't sing as well as he used to when he was singing all the other songs. Like, I know what auto-tune sounds like. I listen to music all the time, like a regular person. But like he dances well, but like he's done some like super horrible things to people, and people are just like, oh my god, he's so cute. I want him to have my kids. And like, you should watch out, because like he's a bad dude, and it gets on my nerves how much No Guidance is such a great song.
Yeah.
It's really upsetting.
He's super talented, and God really gave someone talented that was borderline evil with the number of women that he's screwed over, had restraining orders for, and like, I can't imagine him as a father. Like, I can't imagine what kind of values he's gonna.
But like, apparently he's a good dad. But like, everybody's like, he did all this stuff, but he's a good father. But like, when you have kids, like that's the base. Like, you're supposed to just be a good dad. Like, there's no such thing as not doing that. It's either you're a good father or you're a piece of shit. Like, you can't.
Yeah, absent father.
Yeah, like there's no in between to that.
There's a dichotomy between different actions and how they pertain to you as a person. You can be a good father, but a shit human being too. You can raise somebody and be a good person, but you can also be an asshole to people, everybody else around you. And you can be exclusionatory to the world around you and only care about people that you raise and that you keep around you and how you take care of them. And some people are like that. Some people are some people are definitely more, and it's actually most people, they're more inclined to their families and who they raise, and to everybody else they may be seen like an asshole, or they may seem terrible because that's just how they treat other people. But there's a different dichotomy between being a good person and being a good father. You can be the best father on earth, and you could be just a fucking horrible person too.
This is true. And I mean, to play off what we were talking about before the culture corner, this is just something that he may have just learned from his father, because his father was also like super toxic. And I think growing up, like, him and his mom had a very waning relationship, because I think he threatened his mom once or twice. I'm gonna fact check myself because I'm not too sure. But I mean, as for him being a shitty person, look what happened with like Karrueche and Rihanna. Like, even him getting into it with like Drake. There's obviously some like, not even honestly, like there's some mental health issues that he needs to like find out, and like he needs to talk to somebody. And your dude's too rich to not have this type of help. But at the same time, the Hollywood standard would rather that, because what sells but sex and craziness. And I don't think he's sexy, but I mean,
you're a heterosexual male, so that's.
I can say another guy is attractive.
You definitely can.
I won't say that to you.
Wait,
I won't say it to you, but I mean, yeah, like, you know, Chris Brown has, like, he obviously has sex appeal and stuff like that. So, like, obviously they're like, keep doing what you're doing, and he's probably like, but I need to get some help, and he's like, they're like, no, don't do it.
No.
No. Don't do it.
Oh my god. I'm sorry, but that kind of sounded funny. Anyway, yeah, I can agree with that situation. I can at least kind of agree with that, yeah.
And I have it as one of my notes, but I'm not going to talk about Robert Kelly, like, at all.
Robert?
No. I'm not going to.
Come on, Robert.
I'm honestly just not going to talk about. There's nothing to talk about. Like,
we all agree.
We all agree. Like, and if you disagree, find
You're
me.
canceled.
Like, fight me. Like, for real. I don't care who you are. Like, R. Kelly is like.
Okay.
Like, Chris Brown is
You
like
didn't know who Robert
at the
was?
bottom.
I never heard his first name. All
You
I know
don't-
is R. Kelly.
Oh
This
my
is-
His full name is Robert Can't Read Kelly.
Forgive me for my unculturedness, but I only
That's
heard
the other
R.
artist's
Kelly
name.
as R.
The
Kelly.
reading
Yeah,
can't
no, I
read.
get it.
Read,
Yeah.
the reading can't read.
Okay.
Yeah.
But like, it's so horrible, and like, it gets worse because he's in jail right now, and he's like, I'm sick of this. I'm gonna go home and get fixed. Like, what do you think you're in there for? Like, if you have a brain, think about it, and stop trying to act like you're fighting for your fucking life, because you're not, bro. Like, you did some bad shit, and you need to like get buried in it.
And he manipulated those women. I don't know if you saw those women fighting.
It was literally a cult. It was a cult because of him.
Yeah, those poor women.
He shaved the young girl's head because she was like, "You think you one of the boys? You gonna be one of the boys?" And like, shaved her head.
Wow.
He's a dick, and he belongs under every single jail.
Definitely.
Like, he
Definitely.
needs to go to every single one, and they put him under, and then he's there for a week, and then he transports to another jail. And I don't know, people spit on him.
So yeah, I think that definitely that's terrible. It's pretty terrible. Like and I was gonna just add on to the fact that like that's a mentality, like that type of mentality that like the cult thing. Because let's just address it what it is. It's a it's a cult.
He's not laughing at the cult. He's laughing because I showed him my notes, and I literally have R. Kelly. I don't think I need examples right next to it.
And I think but I think that like that cult thing that Mr. Robert has done. That's a thing that like I don't want to say some stars do, but there are some people, there are some groups and some things like that do stuff like this. I was hearing about this in like a class, and that there was another group that was similar to like this.
Oh, Jim Jones, yeah.
I think it was that.
Jim Jones is the. Don't look him up. It's very traumatizing. It's a lot.
Is
more
that a
traumatizing.
recent thing? I don't know.
No, it's not. We learned it about sociology. He's the guy who made the people drink Kool-Aid.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah,
Oh my god.
That was yeah.
it's much worse.
Yeah, but it's just pretty terrible, like how people will, and we were kind of talking about how people give those kind of people a pass, and it's kind of sad that even though this guy is terrible, Robert is terrible, we still not we as in collect as in everybody, but there are people that still will give him a pass because he sings good, and that he can pull the wool over their eyes, and he can do that to people because he is talented. And the same thing with Mr. Brown. Same thing. He can do.
Ladies' man is charismatic.
Right. Charisma is a lot of times all somebody needs, and you don't want to call them sociopaths, but that there's it feels as if there are qualities.
There's definitely on like a spectrum of
like what I was gonna say was there's definitely like qualities that are present, and it's definitely qualities that people need to like pay attention to. People need to be worried about. Especially when they see those things in these people, and need to stop, putting them on a pedestal because
just literally stop being okay with it.
And I'll say this: sometimes the argument stands that people like to say. I feel like how I've heard is separating the art from the artist, and that's a fair point. It's still
my next point. Actually.
That's still a shit person. I'm an artist, and if I did a Picasso masterpiece or something like that, and I was going around beating babies, like, are you gonna separate the art from artist then? No, you're not. You're gonna just call me all around a general person. It's the same concept all around. I feel, and I feel like that's a terrible thing that needs to be like that. Just people should stop trying to like link, because sure, the art can be beautiful, the art can be masterful, it can be a testament to this person's ability as a person, but sometimes we have to say no. Like, we cannot condone this, even if they're a good person, a good artist.
Right, and like listening to them, giving them streams, whatever you want to buy in their albums, I feel like just makes their bad behavior worse. Like you're
rewarding failure.
You're rewarding something that's just like good, like right, Wayne. Like
it's definitely that part. That's definitely the big part of it. It makes them feel like they're untouchable.
One example that I won't stay on for too long because this one hits people a little bit harder, but like X did some we heard about some bad stuff before he passed away.
Let's elaborate.
Sensation.
Tentacion.
It's French sounding?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Him, I won't mispronounce it again. But he's done some considerably bad things while he was on this earth. And I think there's the debate of, but what if they tried to do better? Because he realized he was doing bad things, but at the end of his, before the end, he was trying to be better.
And more repentful. But
repentful. So what happens when that happens, right? When before they pass, they're trying to do the right thing,
but they don't get a chance.
But they don't get a chance to. Like, yeah. Do we still hold them to like they did all these bad things, or do we hold like them passing as like a penance?
That is at that point up to the person itself, because we can't just have one thing that I think I have to add on to how we're going to be judging people is it really depends on who.
Yeah, perspective. You say it all the time. Perspective.
Yeah, because as much as we all say that these are degenerate person, that even if they begin trying to repent, it really depends on who's going to be seeing that repent, whether it be genuine or just a quick facelift. It all depends.
And we can't always say what it is for that person, how we feel, because that person might try to be genuine, and we as people can say that's not genuine. That's not enough. You're not doing enough. This isn't, what you've done is unforgivable, or something along those lines.
I mean, like I think the best example I could put for that situation itself, you can kind of compare to
go ahead.
Logan Paul.
Okay.
And PewDiePie.
Here's interesting ones.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So when we had the controversy with PewDiePie, because he was the first one, where he had said the N-word.
He said, see, that's something I think is weird.
Yeah. Well,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So here's the thing. He never apologized per se. If he did, I was not made aware.
He did apologize.
He did apologize.
Formal apology too, yeah.
Formal apology or not, but then he continued on with his life and what he was doing, and I mean, he didn't slip up again.
Right.
He didn't make a big public announcement saying that he's going to try to improve on. If he did, once again, I'm not that culturally anything.
He had a whole formal apology, and he made I followed it pretty closely. He did make a formal apology. He didn't condone it. He basically watching the apology, he said it's something that of course he shouldn't have said, and the fact that it was so casual in his word, he said it was uncomfortable. He said he doesn't condone that. He'll strive to make sure he doesn't do it again, and he hasn't. And that's something too that he's trying, that I can imagine somebody is trying to push past. And I'll let you continue.
And then we go to the other spectrum of Mr. Logan Paul.
Mr. Paul.
Okay, we all know what happened in Japan.
We do.
Okay, we don't have to respect. All I'd say is that, and
well, a lot of people don't.
Okay, well
go ahead.
Well, then he basically filmed a dead body. Okay, he filmed what was already happened. That man killed himself, suicide force.
And I'll also add the fact that there was also a huge, his presence in Japan was also pretty bad in and of itself because of the way he kind of while he kind of strolled around, being loud and obnoxious as an American tourist, and being this personality in a country where that kind of thing is like not forbidden, but definitely looked down upon.
Taboo.
Yeah, it's pretty taboo, like publicly taboo, and it kind of like that was the pinnacle of how bad it got, right?
Yeah.
However, like it was like a build up, like following it from like his entry into the country up until that point was like it was almost like the plot to a play or something like that, as far as like the rising action. And then when the climax hit of him having that, it was just bad.
Mm-hmm. Also, I'm pretty sure like he did some things that were like disrespectful, like he approached it and everything too, and you just don't do that, because
he went to a temple and like started throwing coins into like the little offering thing, stuff like that. That's like deeply offensive. Yeah,
and like in that forest in general, even though it is a forest to take your own life, it's supposed to be like you're in a place of peace and like all this other things, and it was almost like he was corrupting that.
Well, I mean, no, like the forest itself supposed to be at peace. It already had its own corruption with the suicide, which is why it got the name. Then Logan Paul just added drama to it.
Right.
No, in general, like people go there and it's supposed to be peaceful. In general, I'm saying like people go there to be there, like solemn and at peace, and like he interrupted that and recorded it, and like the family didn't like it, and I feel like his apology was very. I did it.
Yeah, he did the apology, but then what's like a video too later where it was like they had found a rat in the house.
Oh my god, yeah, that was pretty bad too.
While the original thing was taken care of and all that, Logan Paul acted out of it, but the friends seemed to simmer him down. Mm. They put in the can, good riddance.
The rat,
and then they put the rat in the can, good riddance. What's done is done. Logan just had to look on his face like. Pulled out the BB gun again.
Not a BB gun. It was a taser.
A taser?
It was a taser.
So he took the taser, aimed at the rat in the can, already dead, and kept going with it.
He did it more than once too. He did it like I think 2 or 3 times.
He's weird, and why do we forgive that type of behavior from people?
It's the same thing that we kind of talked about as far as we reward people for that craziness. Like exactly what Gawain said earlier. Like. People tune in, he gets a lot of money off of it, and like that was at the time before like all the controversy. Logan Paul was like a YouTube golden boy, right?
Before YouTube, it was Vine,
right? But what I'm saying is like at the time of that,
he was on track to become the next PewDiePie or whatever YouTube star.
And also he has a lot of kids looking, so the kids were like, "It's okay, Logan."
It's like just a stupid rat.
Yeah, like they do all the time, because they don't market to kids, but kids watch them because they're. Like the algorithm puts them right in front of kids, and so they're like, it's okay.
And then by default, they also kind of like brought themselves towards that demographic.
Yeah, after a while, I mean, YouTube itself now has made it more like you can't curse and stuff like that. Like,
Kappa.
Yeah, you know what the fuck.
Well, guess what?
No. Kappa's made now. It's right. Don't be too child friendly, or you're fucked.
No, it's more like
there's a general audience exclusion.
I was reading about it earlier. It's more like you can't. Because YouTube is subsidiary of Google and Google
subsidiary of Alphabet. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're synonymous. They call themselves Alphabet to become public, blah blah blah, business stuff. But what was I gonna say? Oh, Kappa is more like you can data mine from everybody else, but when it's a younger audience, like YouTube kids, they like don't do that because they're kids.
Which now they raise the age of 16.
But to say all that, going back to the toxic stuff, one thing I hate is when somebody says something blatantly racist, or somebody who isn't black, most literally a white person, just says nigga or nigger, and then there's a lot of people who are just like, it's okay. It slips sometimes. Or when they're younger, like Justin Bieber, and like one less lonely nigga if I kill them, and I'll be in the KKK, one less lonely nigga. And everybody's like, it's okay, he was young. Like, what? Being racist when you're young does not equate to anything. Like, stop being racist.
There's and then like, of course, like bringing the thing that Gawain said back into this because it validates it too. Because he said the PewDiePie thing. There's also a difference between people who are trying to like, who have said things, have acknowledged them, and will strive to go away from that. But there are people that are also just like, that'll do stuff like that won't acknowledge it at all, and then and people will forgive them. They won't acknowledge it themselves.
I won't say people. I'm sorry for cutting you off, but it angers me that like if a white person says it, another white person will forgive. Like it's not your job.
It's not us. It's not the people like.
It's not the people who are been offended by it, who've been oppressed by it. Right. It's always like to them another equal that's saying it's okay. I'm not offended by it. Like you can't be offended by it. You can't just say it's just a word because to you it's all that, but it impacts people a different way, and you have to realize that.
Yeah. Oh man, I have several things to say about that word in general, but I'll say that for another time.
So we talked about like toxicity in the media and like individualized toxicity, but there's a group of people that we keep bringing up that we don't talk too much about, and we aren't them. But do you guys think that toxic masculinity like affects women at all?
I'm gonna need some time to think on that. Anyone else wants to answer?
Winston, you made a face. Winston, you go.
Yes. In like a mostly heteronormative society, yeah, we mostly are the ones that are like, hey, I'm gonna express like these views or whatever that I'm using to guide myself, and I'm gonna expect you as my girlfriend, wife, whatever, spouse or significant other,
coworker,
whatever, coworker, even
boss, maybe
even boss, literally every woman in our life or whatever. I'm gonna express those views. I'm gonna try to push them on you because I think they're right or whatever. So like it may be from the fact that like, oh, I bought your lunch or whatever, I held the door open for you, and I should expect a thank you out of you or something like that. Something that's like something minor or whatever. Like those little microaggressions can add up to us like coming off as like toxic or whatever, just in everyday kind of events and interactions.
Or like the not instant gratitude, but like if I take you on a date, and this is like a very like I guess you call it alpha male chadish way of thinking. Like, I took you out on a date, so have sex with me.
The nice guy.
That's another mentality. That's pretty bad.
I think nice guys like if you've been on the subreddit or just know about them, they're horrible.
Nice guys. There's also on the other side. I just didn't want to say it, but there's also like it's something that anybody can be. It's just a set of like shit that just people just like I'd expect. And I agree with what Winston and what George are saying about it. It's a pretty shit way to just live your life in general, expecting things from people just because you do things. It's extremely selfish.
Yeah, like don't white knight or anything like that. Like if you from the bottom of your heart just want to do something nice, especially from a young lady, just do it.
Be the kind guy, not the nice guy. Be the kind
guy. Like, if you're thinking that every single time you open the door for them, you're gonna get a thank you and a BJ, like you need to get the fuck out of here because that's not gonna happen. Like, get out of your own mind. You sound stupid. Like they're not here as our objects. They're people. There
also is like as far as like holding the door. There is like a thing, like a room for like common courtesy.
I mean, in general, I was gonna say that in general. If I like buy you dinner or lunch, anybody, I'm like, or hold the door open, like I want anybody to just be like, oh, thank you. Like if you're not saying thank you, you're not raised right.
You're not getting anything from me as far as like if I buy you or make you food, and you don't say thank you, or you like be like, oh, okay, and I'd be like, oh, okay. No food for you no more.
Like, I bought 2 lunches today.
And he's saying that for anybody. Like, we've all go to lunch together, and we give each other a lot of shit. Like every time we go out to eat, I order an appetizer, and Winston eats it, and he doesn't. He doesn't say, "Hey, here's a few bucks," and what? I'm okay with it. I hate him. I really do, but it's okay. It's okay.
But wait a minute,
get some animosity. I'm just gonna ignore it.
And personally, I especially like in the food situation, I cook for people all the time, and if they don't say thank you, You're not getting anything from me ever again. Don't look my general direction. If you're burning, I'm not saving you. I can't help you, man. You didn't say thank you when
if
you
you
needed
fall and you bust your mashed potato head, then it's okay.
Oh no!
We're not. Don't bring him back
That's
here.
from episode
Don't
1,
bring
you
him
guys.
here.
That's episode 1
Because
of
there's
the
so
Ultra
many
Prism
episodes
podcast.
to reference.
It's from episode. Maybe they just started that episode too. Maybe they just wanted to learn about how stupid R. Kelly is and why we should all hate him. Because I'm for it. Fuck Robert.
Fuck Robert.
Robert?
Alright.
Robert, sit down.
He's a joke. Everybody should laugh at him, point at him, and call him ugly.
You won't be able to read our comments though, so it's okay.
Shit. Oh my god.
But yeah, I think also like they live in like this society. We live in a society that's like perpetrated by like a lot of men that are just like predators, and like young women and like girls have to live in this society, and like there's things that they're not okay with that like we're just like, you'll get over it.
Actually, that kind of goes into toxic masculinity too. The body count. How many people you laid?
True.
Oh, that's a good topic.
Oh, and also how many and how like young women can't have the same, or they're labeled as like a hoe or a whore or like all these other like derogatory words, but let a guy have like 45 bodies and like 15 STDs and everybody's like high-fiving them like, you did a great job, but let her have 5 bodies from dudes she really liked or, you know, she felt vulnerable to, and they're like, you stupid fucking bitch.
Yeah.
Ludacris made a song about that actually.
Who?
Ludacris.
Oh, Ludacris.
Yeah, in the album Battle of the Sexes, the song's called Hey Ho, and the hook is, if men sleep around, we some players, but for women they be saying Hey Ho.
Clever. That's good. Wow. Didn't know that.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole notion is ludicrous.
But the same rapper also made the song "Move, Bitch, Get Out the Way." So
Okay, we all know that when an artist is first starting off, and we could look to that as with Hobson too, because Hobson had when he was first starting off, he had said some disses to other artists, even though he was just popping off. But that's because in that rap
That's
game,
so weird to me. Why are you going at people who don't know you?
But that's the thing with the rap game. We could all talk about positivity and be able to make it work, like Chance the Rapper. Great, but for the majority, if you want to try to get your
Did
name,
you say Chance? Ooh, I love my wife, the rapper.
Ooh, I
love my wife.
If there's something I don't know about Chance the Rapper, please educate me.
He has a wife and she loves her. He loves her.
All right.
He loves her wife.
But no,
his wife.
when people think of positive rappers, one person that comes to mind is Chance the Rapper. Am I wrong?
Correct.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, but in most rap games, if you want to try and get out there in the label, you gotta have some heat. You gotta kind of have that animal kind of mindset. I'm hungry. I'm gonna go after this food.
But you could do that and say positive. Will Smith did it.
Yeah, Will Smith did it, but is he making music now still?
Yeah, he made the Bad Boys song.
Really?
He sings it in every single movie.
Hold on a second. The Bad Boys movie came out in the 90s.
I don't know when it came out. I think it.
Okay, but I mean, think about the popular rappers that done their time. Okay,
Yeah.
Jay-Z,
Yeah.
M, DMX.
Yeah.
Even like she's not popular now, but when he was out there, we all know what his lyrics
You know
about.
what, Gawain? I have a question. What do you think Ja Rule thinks about all this?
Shut up! I give a fuck what Ja Rule thinks, man. Get the fuck out of here.
Oh my god.
You guys, what do you think? What do you think he thinks about all this? Like just the whole thing.
Shut your Dave Chappelle old joke having ass up.
Need somebody, please. Find Ja Rule so I can make some sense about this. Oh my god. That's
Oh my
terrible.
god. No one gives a fuck.
Yeah, but I mean,
He's gonna watch this and cry.
Ja's facing
So-
heat from Fire Festival
so,
still. I don't
I
think he
mean-
got the time to think about nothing else but that.
yeah, Luke Cruz. I'm saying now has battle sex is like that's like basically young, I'm hungry, I'm trying to get this money, to now I have this money. I ain't got to worry about this old persona anymore. I've grown, I've matured.
You're absolutely right. Have you seen the Fast and Furious movies? I don't know if you guys know what counseling looks like, but it's not that.
Counseling?
Counseling. I forgot the word I wanted to use, but like, I want to say the movies at the bottom of the barrel, but like, you're not yourself. Like, you need a Snickers if you're filming Fast and Furious movies.
Okay.
So, before we sign off, honestly, how do you guys think how can we fix it? Like, just the four of us, not everybody's, but like our day to day, somebody says something that's like disagreeable, or just like tell somebody they can't be themselves or something, or it just turns in the conversation just turns into like something toxic, and then to that, from if it's a young man or a man, toxic masculinity. How do you guys think we should stop it?
I think we should try to like treat those around us despite ignore. Don't let their gender, what their religion is, whatever their sexual orientation is, not stand in the way of treating them like human beings, and like try to use like that like positive compass, like they're a person and they're not just some piece of meat. They're not like lesser than you or whatever. They're just trying to get along in their lives, and like there's no reason for you to make their life harder because you have these views in their head for what you think society should be. So yeah, that's what I think we should do to fix it.
I could agree with that. I think also that treat people the way that you want to be treated. Easy way of saying it. And just like inform people that like it's just not okay to say or do certain things anymore, because like honestly, truly, they're dated, and just let them be dated, let them be outdated. We are, especially young people, we are in a new way of thinking, and that new way of thinking is to accept people, and so accept people for who they are and help people learn who they are. I work at an after-school program with young men, and when I had this conversation with them, I was just like, don't let other people deter you from who you are. Don't let the jeers and everything about what you want to do keep you from doing what you want to do, because that's what makes you you. And people are going to say whatever you want, but at the end of the day, they're not doing anything for you but like making fun. Like, you do everything for yourself. So just informing, I think, is a good thing to do.
Informing, and a phrase I know has been said probably a couple of times, but I can only think of it because of God of War. Don't try to be me, be better. Don't be me, be better.
Yeah.
We've went through these mistakes. We've known these upbringings, and we're learning them. And we want to pass on this knowledge to you so you can be better.
That's a good one. I like that a lot. Be better. Karlton.
I guess I can apply it. I guess I'll try to apply it to my own experiences in life, because I don't have kids or anything like that, and I can't. If I try to raise a son or something like that in the world that we live in, but I feel as if one way that we can all try to take away from all of this is to first look at yourself and see the things that other people might find as, harmful. What kind of things might be aggressive to people, and it may not be the way that you feel it. It may not be like a way that is it might be like overly like noticeable. Say, for instance, if you say something to somebody, you might like recuse yourself and be like, I didn't like how I said that. I said this in a strange way, and you question yourself. You try to treat people the same way. You try to talk to people the same way you would want to be talked to. You try to treat people like humans. Some people are looking to be taken seriously, taken as if they are, the person that they are. Don't like sit there and make them feel as if, don't talk down to people, things like that. Treat people regularly, treat them nicely. Do things for people because you want to do things for people. You want to be nice to people. For me, I try to do that at the very least by talking to people the same way I talk to everybody else. I try to teach people. I try to educate people in ways that are available for everybody, ways that are meaningful and that anybody can do. I try to talk to people. I try to I try to put them into my conversations so nobody is excluded. Just try to treat people like you'd want to be treated, because otherwise it's going to be bad for you and bad for them, and you won't realize that you're taking those words and taking those feelings and putting them and reciprocating them to other people. You can sit there and internally think about how you are and change that for the better.
It's nothing that I'm about to finish up the video, everybody. Just so you guys know, that was the last point. Karlton said it beautifully. But one thing he said, to just paraphrase it, was self-regulation, and that has a lot to do with emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is really knowing yourself so you know how to deal with other people. And, you know, I think we all gave pretty good, not just examples, but just new ways of maybe thinking about things, maybe a new perspective. I had a great time talking with you guys about toxic masculinity. This was the first episode of Into the Prism with Ultra Prism. I had a great time. I hope you listeners had a good time listening to us. This is George, Winston, Gawain, and Karlton signing off.
Bye, everybody.